Hey folks, welcome back to Medieval Minecraft Creations with your host Mad Rabbit. We're back in the same area. This time I'm going to do something on the other side of the road. A large home of some sort, which you'll see in a moment. I'm kind of going to do a step-by-step tutorial through this. Obviously I'll speed it up for time's sake. Otherwise you'd be sitting through 40 minutes worth of footage rather than whatever I got here. 15 minutes? Whatever it ends up being. Now they're basically just spaced three apart, and I'm nipping the corners on the inside and on the outside. As you see, we're building the frame. Now you can obviously change out any types of wood you want. You want to do different types of wood, do different type of wood. I'll do different types of. I'm going to actually use wool again. I'm going to stick with a theme here for these couple blocks with white wool and regular wood, at least regular wood color, I should say, and the regular wooden planks, at least the original types of coloring. Well, 5, make the frame pretty easy. I mean, you can do 4, I think. I've looked this house here that we're doing today. As you see here, I did the flooring, but this is actually a mistake on my part. Probably should wait to do the flooring till later, and you will see later on what I mean by that. But yeah, this is actually a build that someone else did on another channel that I saw some similarities to my work on, and they had a couple neat ideas like this right here, where you're putting some of the actual wool on the inside, so there's an indent. And I thought that was an ingenious idea, so I figured I'm going to build a house sort of similar to what they had, and kind of give it my own flavor, because this is exactly what I was talking about last episode, guys. Remember I said last episode, like, I do this series to inspire you guys? Well, I'm inspired too sometimes. I go out and I see other people's videos, and sometimes you see their influence in my work. And I'm really hoping that you guys will, spend the time. And as you see here, you kind of randomize it. You can make some in, some like flat with the wall, but actually having too much flat you don't want. As you see here also, I start working the second layer, but it ends up being a little bit of a mistake here, so if you are following along, hold on a little bit. And I just put the flooring right in, but you'll see here that when I put this frame up, I discovered that it's even, and we don't want it even. An even number of spaces in between is what I'm saying. So I go, oh no, I gotta wreck it, and it still don't work. And what I ended up doing is making it kind of even right there. So like you see right there, that part, even with the wall below it, and then I just make it like kind of diagonal corners, and then that gives you your 3, because you want 3 on the for space on the inside. You always want something odd. And this here, this is the second time I built the roof. I actually made it go out a little bit more. Sometimes I don't know, it didn't quite look right before, so you just repeat it on either side. The original video, no, I basically just had like a cross-shaped house. As you see, I actually made one side shorter than the other on the sides, but just to try to kind of change things up and try some of my own. So yeah, basically you just throw in a full slab on top of each one of the logs and extend it all the way down. And on top of each one of those logs, you just be putting in stairs. That's the typical roof. In the corners, obviously, a slab. And I ended up extending it down. Obviously, you want to close up some of those holes, so I decided to use just planks there. I did some lighting in there, and when you do have those things on the inside, the wool, I like to frame them. They just don't quite look right if you don't. Then going in on top, I'm doing some that are just single windows and some are double tall. But you can do it any way you want to. You always rim it with something, like on the bottom, like how it has like some cobble on the bottom. You always do that on the top also, or just do wood on the top as a trim. Anyway, you want to do it. Then you like just do a design. This is what they were doing, so I'm going to do something like that. I'll make my own little design on the inside here. Then I start doing it, and then I go, whoa, this would actually look kind of neat if I actually made a little eave kind of on the inside hanging out. So I actually This is what the kind of thing I'm hoping you guys will do. You will take my existing designs and kind of improve upon them. And so what I saw in the video was really good, but I improved upon it with my own ideas. And then on the inside here, I just fill it in with white in the background just so you see the white. But I put this little eave in there, so it looks kind of neat when it's done. You'll probably get a better look at it when it's daylight. Unfortunately, I always have this tendency of building at night sometimes. I don't bother to forward it to daytime, which I probably should get more in the habit of doing that, but either way, that's fine. You get the idea, basically. Trying to get in there is kind of rough, though, but I'm just filling it all in. I'm going to try and do it all on the inside, the white framing. As you see, you have things hanging off too. Then you just do more of a design work there. You know, there's something like the frame has some sort of a design to it. You don't want to just have a big white stark wall there. That's definitely what you don't want. And so as you see there, I'd like to frame the whole thing on the inside so it doesn't look so bad. We may come back at some later point, make an attic out of this, or put rafters in, or something along those lines. But in the front, I do a little different design. I'm not going to do the overhang, but like I kind of change things up a little bit. As you'll see, some of it's kind of flush with the wall, with the frame, and some of it isn't. Like here, I go in, and it comes up pretty good in the end, really. I mean, the whole point of this thing here is you guys just kind of randomly doing your own thing, getting your inspiration on these things from me and others on YouTube. And I really want to try and encourage people to actually go out there and start doing some work of their own on Minecraft, rather than just sit here and be like YouTube junkies and watching videos too much. Sometimes you actually gotta, like I was saying last episode, I said this last episode, I'll say it again. Sometimes you gotta actually shut the thing off and go and do it. Now that you've seen it, go do it. You know what I mean? So here, basically same thing. Most of that you don't see on the outside, so I just left it white. This was a little flatter, but it's some design stuff in it. Yeah, came out pretty good. I just throw some torches up just so you can see up there. I don't like it when it's all dark, but I don't think I did the same on this side. I think I changed it again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I mean, you can always stick eaves or things hanging off and just randomize it, which is what you'll see here in a little bit. What they did on their roofs, they put dormers in, which is sort of what I've been doing lately. But rather than do everything symmetrical, it's just throwing them in kind of randomly. Particularly on larger roofs, we have a lot of roof space like this one. That's a really good idea, and I was pretty surprised by that. I go, wow, you can actually just kind of randomize it. So, yeah, I think that's, you'll see in a little bit, that's sort of what I end up doing here. And just kind of blending it into the roof as usual. Now, they had a pretty elaborate design for an overhang, like sort of like almost like a design for each one that they always used. Here, I try and do something a little different every once in a while. I make them all random this time around. Like each one's different. The little overhang on the eaves there. So that's basically it. And as per usual, I mean this is a smaller type right here. But if you're gonna do it like in a roof like this that's too high, I mean they get higher pitched roof, you're definitely gonna make sure your dormers are also higher pitched, like what I'm doing here. So you have some sort of a full block of a plank. Sorry guys, I'm a little late at night. I shot this earlier today. I don't even remember what I did. Oh yeah, nicking the corners like that's also pretty nice sometimes. Making it stick out rather than being flush would probably have worked better there. That smaller one looked nicer because it wasn't really flush. This one here, sort of the same thing, having it stick out, and this ends up being a little bit like an overhanging one from the other side, but yeah, came out pretty nice. Double window. Yeah, that's in the front. Yeah, that came out pretty good. Very good. They did this thing with here the window, sort of the same thing, just sort of making like a little window eave thing. And yeah, I mean, there's really not much more to say other than just watch the footage, and you guys can really just sort of follow along. Everything's pretty much self-explanatory. I wanted to take a minute or two here to talk about the fact that Minecraft 1.3 is coming out, and I'm looking forward to that. And I know I had said in previous videos about possibly doing well, not collaboration so much as maybe inviting people on servers and all this stuff. And as you know, I made mention in this program, that was all contingent upon whether that was in that was actually in the patch, like they said it was gonna. But it turns out that they're not going to have it in this particular patch. So I just want people to know that I'm not going to be doing or looking into anything like that right now. And considering some of the stupid crap I've had to deal with, as you remember a few episodes, 3-4 episodes ago, I may end up reconsidering that. If I do something, it might be something more small scale. Just maybe 1 or 2 people that I actually know come on here to help me out, or we build something together, or whatever. Have to be I'd have to have some sort of an established relationship with people to really invite them on. If we were to make this a temporary, I wouldn't even call it a server, because like I said before, I've explained this before. At least how Mojang is going to do it. And it's really more like you're hosting. It's more like a temporary hosting of a game session. Because back in the old days, when those first-person shooters, they used to do that in first-person shooters too. You used to have a person hosting it, because there used to not really be too many servers back in the old days. Now, obviously, the game companies themselves actually have the servers, because when you have high-speed stuff, it's hard for one computer really to kind of manage that on its own. So yeah, it's I think it would have been limited anyway. But I'm assuming it's going to be in 1.4. If they're going to have a 1.3.1 or whatever, that they're going to have the full conversion over, and develop the technology more about like an actual true or real multiplayer option for those of us who know nothing about server technology. So it's something that's up in the air right now. Let me just say that. Something that's up in the air. I can't promise anything, and I may change my mind. I did disclaim that was a disclaimer from before, so I'm just reiterating it. So, and I did a little bit of work here along trying to get those dormers to look a little nicer on the inside. As usual, I did not actually decorate the inside again. Someday we'll go back, and this will be a really nice project for like just working on the insides of it, since it's such a nice house on the outside. But basically just trying to get it to look sort of neat from the inside here. What else was Oh yes, 1.3 also is going to be lacking the mod API, and I had wanted to include some mods and stuff, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen either. And that was more for my adventure series, which that's probably I'll maybe do another episode next week, but of that. But we'll see. Lately, that hasn't really. We'll see. I mean, that's up in the air too. That show a little bit. I enjoy doing it, but it's just a lot of prep work, like I said, and getting things ready for the show, because you gotta actually gather materials for it. So yeah, that gets a little boring after a while. gathering all that cobblestone and whatnot. But yeah, so I guess that's really about it, guys. I think when the mod API does come out, and whatever patch they're going to actually have it in now, I'll start thinking about the new adventure series. But we spent a lot of time in what we're doing now, so maybe we'll keep going with the existing adventure series for a little while longer. This series here is always going to be keep going. I'm not. This world's going to be forever. I'm going to keep making stuff in it. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. Oh, I never did show you this bridge. I wanted to show you a nice panoramic view of it, things coming into the city. See, I wanted things to look really epic when you're walking in. So this little panoramic view here, and go back the other way. That's sort of what I wanted to look like. Everything looks like I could do a little more landscaping perhaps, but that's about it, really. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Please hit that like button on the way out. Keep supporting me, and I will catch you next time. Matt Rabbit signing off. Adios.